Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the LP Roundtable. It's been a while. It's the first one of this year, 2025. And as we always do in the first episode, we're going to look forward to what's going to be exciting in this year. Last episode, we looked back. Now we're going to look forward. I have Aaron with us again, and we have Web3 Spud, or Crypto Savings Expert. GM, I'll ask you first. Can you intro yourself a little bit for the audience before we dive into the topics of the day?
Yeah, of course, no worries. So, I'm Web3 Spud from Crypto Saving Expert, co-founded alongside that Martini guy almost 3 years ago now, coming up to 3 years. So, Crypto Saving Expert is a news, education, markets platform. Imagine a combination of CoinMarketCap, Binance Academy, and Cointelegraph all rolled into one. We forged the company on the back of not wanting newcomers to make the same mistakes that we all likely did when we entered the industry, entered Web3. We think it's super important to kind of offer that free information to newcomers to really onboard the masses into crypto. Right now, we've got a absolutely booming Discord as well, where there's one-to-one tuition, weekly AMAs, and it's just a real good place. I consider it a wolf pack. If you've got eyes looking out all locations, that's how you're going to be most successful. That's how you're going to make the most of crypto, of Web.
Awesome. Sounds great. When did you start this?
So coming up 3 years now, so it was around February time. So I actually met my co-partner, that Martini guy, at a Swissborg event in November 2020, perhaps tell a lie, 21. So I met him there, and I said, thanks to your education, I used to follow his YouTube videos, follow him on Twitter, and I was very involved with his community. And I said, thanks to you, I quit my job 3 months ago. I've pursued a career full-time trading, and I just want to say my thanks. And he said, oh yeah, Spud, I know who you are. I recognize you from the community. And he said, take my email. I've got a business idea. Didn't think anything of it. I emailed him the next day, like being super keen as I was. This was the crypto influencer that I've watched for the last 2 years. That's kind of helped me forge my career in crypto. Now he's saying, right, I've got a business idea. So obviously I emailed him the next day. Didn't hear anything back until probably February time. A few months, and I was living in Thailand at this point, and he gave me the call, let me know what he wanted to achieve with Crypto Saving Expert, how we're going to achieve it, and I said, I'm in. Count me in. At first, it was very much like a startup. Everyone doing a bit of this, seeing where they fit in, and it really came together. We were building throughout the bear market. It was difficult times. We weren't turning a profit, but we were resilient that this could be a success. And for the last year, it's been absolutely amazing. We've been turning a profit, and looking forward to the next 5 years ahead.
I love that. Yeah, I think our show and what we discuss here is also all about like sharing our experiences, sharing our learning, sharing the mistakes we made so that the people listening don't have to make the mistakes. And I guess that's a bit of what it's all about after all, right, Aaron?
Yeah, 100%. I'll just a little bit from my side. So I've been working in product management my whole life, basically since I graduated university. And I came over to the crypto side 3 years ago. And it really goes hand in hand with what you're talking about, is like how to explain things to users in like a very friendly way. But the idea is you want the actual software to try and do that itself. Like we don't need to have these complicated software, and that's kind of the perspective that I brought from the Web 2 side into Web 3 is let's really simplify things, make things user friendly so that we don't need all these people going out and explaining things. Definitely there's always going to be customer support. That's always going to be a thing. There's always going to be people like you that are needed, but let's try to get to a stage where the software can speak for itself. So it's definitely a big process, but I think we do see things getting more and more user friendly as we go here.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like user experience on itself, like I think that's where crypto still can make the biggest improvements. Like and still, like I'm still scared about opening any random email. I don't even open emails or links anymore, right? Like all of these small little things. And I'm sometimes wondering, do normal people who are not in crypto also worry about opening their emails? Or is this just something that's baked in after 3 years being in crypto and having to be cautious about literally everything you click on? Crypto Savings Expert, do you see a lot of these issues in your community of like people who are just new that like they make a wallet and they start playing around, but within a few tryouts of tools, they get rugged or they get hacked or they lose all their money? Like, is that still the case? Because that's how I remember my early days. Like,
Yeah.
that's what
What
everybody warned me for.
What we find is people are trying to run before they can walk, and often it's not always the 16-year-old 18-year-old who's first getting into crypto. Sometimes it's these 50-year-old bankers that are on $100,000 salary per year. They've got lots of money to play with. And for them, $10,000 may not be a meaningful amount, and they chuck that in, and can absolutely lose it instantly. I've seen it time and time again, and coming from my business partner is an influencer KOL. The amount of scams and impersonators that would impersonate him and then message his followers, and he would try. Sometimes he would reimburse people that lost out because he felt bad, and almost from a point of that, seeing the scams happen so much, he wanted to put his foot down and say, look, this needs to stop. We need to inform people of these tactics and these scams that people using, and overall it will make a better community and make a safer, more welcoming web3 community for people to join and actually have a bit of faith to put their savings in, and perhaps invest more than they would have if there was still that underlying fear of being scammed, being taken advantage of.
That's an interesting topic to actually dive a bit deeper into, investing more than you are feeling comfortable with. I'm pretty sure, I think I'm in that camp. I invested more than I actually should. I have more of my net worth in crypto than I actually should, I guess. Are you guys also in that camp, or are you more responsible?
Yeah, from my side, being so heavily deep into IoTeX at this point, a good portion is definitely of my portfolio is in crypto. So I don't see that changing anytime soon.
Yeah, I can't complain. I'm about 50% in meme coins, so you can tell my risk tolerance.
Okay, that's even a worse portfolio allocation, I would say. If people say like, I have X% in crypto, that's already risky. But then if you go like, I have half my crypto portfolio in meme coins, what do you tell your...
I try rebalance it, but it was a good year for meme coins, and there's a few in there that's slightly sentimental with. Definitely try to rebalance it. It's not what I advocate at all. I would say a 5% kind of balance in meme coins is enough. 10% if you're being slightly risky. Perhaps I'm exaggerating with 50%, but definitely on some days it's around that 50%.
But that's probably because you put in a little and it becomes 50%, I assume. Or
yeah, exactly. And I work on a lot of projects, meme coin projects, and help them, community projects, help them push as well. So it's a tale of the times. And right now, though, I am switching back to utility, and I think January's gonna show that as well.
Yeah, that's what we discussed in the previous episode as well. I think like where we kind of concluded that last year was the Bitcoin year. It was like a bit of the run up into the cycle. We had the halving, we had a lot of things happening, the ETFs that happened, Bitcoin, Ethereum ETFs. And then now sort of everyone is kind of agreeing that it's time for the rest of the market to catch up. We've seen a big Bitcoin run, and now it's time for the utility tokens, like you say, CryptoSavingsExpert. Do you align with that vision, or do you have another view of the market?
Definitely. We saw Murad say there was going to be a meme coin super cycle. And there is a potential for that still to happen, but for me, I believe meme coins were kind of used as an attention draw. During times of kind of low volatility with altcoins, we saw Bitcoin dominance absolutely soar away. Altcoins kind of struggling, not having much volatility. Even traders sometimes, especially September, if we go back a few months, when meme coins were soaring and altcoins were not making much movement. I believe this was just traders, investors. They wanted to put their attention somewhere, and altcoins weren't doing it for them. The projects were waiting for the market to improve before they come out with new releases, come out with new updates, etc. And there just wasn't the excitement, and the excitement was meme coins. Meme coins are good for onboarding newcomers, but they can also be good for burning newcomers. Some newcomers come into crypto, they invest in meme coins, get burnt, and they will never look back, even if they have a great opportunity in years to come. So it's a bit of a catch-22. Yes, we have seen lots of newcomers come into the space over 2024, but how many of those have been burnt and will not come back in 2025 is the real question we should be asking. Me personally, right now, I think it has had a net positive result rather than a net negative result, but many people will disagree with that.
No, I think that's a great point. I totally agree there. Like, we don't really know how many people got burned, but there are some numbers of like how many people are actually profitable Pump.Fun traders, and I don't think it's more than 10% of the Pump.Fun users ever were profitable. I think more than 90% lost money, actually. That comes to the point is, are meme coins the actual Web3 gaming? Because last cycle, I remember like everybody talking about Web3 gaming is gonna be the use case that's gonna pull in the masses into this industry. Web3 gaming, blah blah blah, asset ownership. But I think this cycle, or where we are right now in the cycle, showed us actually that speculation and meme coins might be the actual Web3 gaming. Like, nobody really wants these AAA games to be on chain, right? Real gamers don't care about if it's on chain or not. Maybe they still got to be educated about asset ownership, but I don't see that happening right now. Like, the space is focusing on other stuff. Are meme coins the actual Web3 gaming? Like, is that a little conclusion we can make after last year?
Yeah, I think so. If you look at like the way that they term gaming in like Web2 world, actually, they call gambling is like gaming, casinos are gaming. So yeah, I definitely see what you're saying there. So if you consider it like a crypto casino in that sense, then 100%, I think you can call it that. That's a great conclusion.
Yeah.
And for me, I actually compare meme coins more to NFTs. I think meme coins have kind of taken what NFTs were, 2001, etc., and 2002, where it provides the community. And now people are choosing the more liquid asset, which are meme coins. NFTs can be hard to sell. I know there's different platforms which give off different features for instant sell, etc. But the liquidity is just not there compared to meme coins, which you can, instantly sell. And I think that meme coins have completely stolen NFTs kind of thunder.
Yeah, that's a great point. I 100% agree there. I think like we can see meme coins in the same category as NFTs, just more liquid. And I think that's also why they are more exciting, because and I think Pengu, for example, the launch of Pengu token of the Pudgy Penguins is a perfect example there. Like, everybody, like a lot of people were just out, like, couldn't pay a Pudgy Penguin, right? Couldn't even pay the price of a Lil Pudgy or whatever else NFTs there was to be a part of the ecosystem. But now anyone can buy the Pengu token and feel part of that Pengu family. And that showcase, and I think Luca said that exactly like this as well. Like, that's the whole purpose of putting a token into that ecosystem, that anyone can be part of it and anyone can trade it. On top of that, they did a great job with distributing the token. I don't know, did any of you get that airdrop? I assume so, because you both OGs, right?
Yeah, I've got to give a shout out to Super Teams UK. They really worked hard for us, and we all the Super Teams UK members got a very tasty allocation. I think it was around $1,200 at the time. So yeah, big shout out to Super Team and Solana Foundation.
Very nice. Aaron, did you get some Pengu?
Yeah, I got a little bit of Pengu, and another one that I got was did you guys go to Solana Breakpoint in Singapore? Yeah, so they made it really fun. The Giga Chad. So there's like 4 Giga Chads at this pull-up bar. So if you did some pull-ups, I think it was I think for each pull-up they gave you like $10 worth of Giga Chad tokens. So I ended up with like 120 of these $120 worth of this Giga Chad thing, and it actually pumped after. Yeah, people can make it very fun with these airdrops. I think when you start bringing it into the real world, it gets really exciting. So yeah, and it's awesome that they did this collaboration with Super Team.
Yeah, and talking about real world meme coins, CryptoSavingsExpert, aren't you organizing something about fish and chips every Friday? Is that, you're still doing this?
So we've got Fish and Chip Coin. Chippy is the ticker on Solana, and we do every Friday. It's called Free Chippy Friday. We've actually, for the first time in almost a year, we're actually pausing it this Friday because there's basically, I'll drop some alpha. We're building a website. There's going to be some cool features. It's going to come out within the next few weeks. And we're also going to automate the process for the rewards payments for Free Chippy Friday participants. So basically, Free Chippy Friday, every Friday, you can go anywhere in the world, go to a restaurant, a chip shop, order fish and chips, take a photo, timestamp it so we know it's legit, post it onto Twitter, put the hashtag Free Chippy Friday, and you get $20 airdrop every week as long as you're a Chippy holder. So yeah, that's been going since May now, and it's been real good fun. We even did an event in Koh Samui in real life one. We've done some in real life events in the UK, in Nottingham, in Yorkshire, and we've got lots planned for the new year. We're keeping it a little bit quiet at the moment because we've been building the website, spent a lot of money on the website, which is going to add a different utility to what we've already got. the Free Chippy Friday. But the slogan that I like to add to it is feeding the community. It's fun. You can onboard your friends, be like, right, do you want to go down to the chip shop, go down to the pub, have fish and chips today? It's on me. So that's what we've set out to achieve. And also we wanted to bring a highlight to the rise in fish prices as well. So we're trying to get a bit ecological with it.
How are you involved in this project? Are you like one of the early team members, or are you just an excited community member?
Yeah, so team members. So my business partner, that Martini guy, he was the original dev, and it was a complete fair launch. So bearing in mind, I'm his right hand man. He didn't even tell me about it because he didn't want the risk of anyone sniping it, anyone buying too much that they should have. You can imagine you've all got those friends that they go, look, I'm creating this, I'm going to build this, and without even doing any research, you're ape. You'll put 10, you put a lot of money into it. So he didn't tell anyone. He put it onto our Discord, and I actually found out through I was with a friend at the time. He was round at my house, and he's a member in our Discord as well. And he goes, "Bud, what's this Chippy token?" I went, "I don't know anything about it, mate." He went, "Oh, that Martini guy's put it in the Discord." I go, "Have a look. It's on Pump Fun." It was around, I think when I had a look, it was around $50,000 market cap. I put 2 Solana in, thinking, okay, see what it is. I messaged that Martini guy, and he goes, right, I need you to set up the Telegram. I go, what? So straight away, like I had to make the Telegram, get the website made, straight away into action positions. And then that 2 Solana, we hit a market cap of $18 million. That 2 Solana at one point at its highest was around $140,000, something like that. So you've got to imagine it wasn't just me. Members from our community were also making these ridiculous gains as well, and it was great to see. And it was truly fair because if he had said straight away, like, this is a project, we're going to run with it, people would have put lots of money in, and then it goes up, and then people all of a sudden take large amounts out. People were kind of a little bit cautious, which meant the wallet distribution was a lot better.
I even had a chippy shill in one of my comments recently.
Hey.
I was like, I had to think about you. Hey, I know this one. That's from the free fish and chips in Koh Samui.
Nice.
Yeah. We touched on meme coins, but what else are you bullish on? Or like what are you focusing on right now, CryptoSavingsExpert? We know that Aaron is bullish on DePIN. So like we'll touch on that in a bit. Like, what is there anything else that you're also bullish on?
But for me right now, I believe real world assets. Whether it's this cycle or the next, I know real world assets are going to be a key player within cryptocurrency. I think with a Trump government for the next 4 years, I think we're going to see kind of more compliant regulation, or at least regulation that is set out so these companies can build towards that. What we've seen in the past with real world assets and their issue that they face is that there's no clear regulation. So how are you going to go to investors and say, look, we need $1 million to help build this, when you say, well, they may make a rule in a few months' time which may completely undermine this, and you have to retrace and go back. So I believe don't get me wrong, I believe in decentralization, and regulation does scare me. However, I believe it is needed to build further, to grow real world assets and cryptocurrency as a whole.
And that's actually what you've been working on as well, Aaron, right? Like, you went to Washington talking about stablecoins, regulations. This is the same bucket, I assume.
100%. Yeah, real world assets is like very much goes hand in hand with regulations, and that's what we've seen. So yeah, I went to Washington, D.C. to go speak with senators and congressmen about some of the different regulations, and they're fully understanding stablecoins at this point, but that's like the extent of most of their understanding. But when they start venturing and hearing about these other use cases that genuinely can make constituents' lives better, then they're all aboard. And if it means more tax money, they're all aboard. So these are the kinds of things that we were talking to them about. And then the week following my trip to Washington, D.C., I was brought on to Mario Nawfal's podcast with 350,000 listeners. And it was actually about the specifically real world assets. And the entire thing just turned into discussions about regulations. So that's how it shows how much these things are tied together. And in that conversation, definitely we talked about, like the Fit 21 bill that was rejected last year. And then moving into this year, how there's this new administration coming in. All the Republicans are in at this point on crypto regulations. and on that previous bill, and then also some more innovation. And now some of the left is coming as well. So there's definitely something that's going to be passed very soon. It's very obvious. And with this new leadership, there's no doubt that it's going to go ahead. And it's going to open the door to all these different kinds of tokenization, whether it's real estate, gold, what have you, in the crypto space. So super excited for that, definitely. And also like just on real world stuff. So what you mentioned with the chippy thing, do you foresee more of this kind of a thing? Because it's a really organic way to build a community around something. And I could see more of that being a thing is like, real world stuff, not necessarily real world assets, but like, real world meme coins, I guess we can call it.
Definitely. I think I think we're going to see more and more of it. I think a lot of meme coins, they're realizing they need to add that edge. They need to add utility. And we saw it with NFTs, going back a few years, all these NFTs, they were doing these big parties, DGOD parties, etc., etc. And I think meme coins, they're going to have to appeal to in real life people, whether that be through events. We see it at, a lot of the crypto events we go to, but I believe they need to kind of cast a broader net. They need to appeal to people that perhaps don't want to go to blockchain week, but they may want to go, go-karting with people they've met on the community, or go to a bar where there's going to be, Iggy Azalea performing and all her dancers there. Exactly like we see with Mother. We saw Iggy Azalea put on the Mother party in Singapore, and price just went like that. And it was, it's an attention market. The more attention, the more marketing, the more these meme coins are going to go on and make new price discovery.
When we talk about these real world assets coming up and regulations coming up, like one of the key principles that I'm going into the next year is, this year for me is for selling. I just want to say nothing what's been said here is financial advice, but this is just how I'm thinking, and don't follow my advice at all, because I'm probably the worst trader you'll listen to. But my principle is, this year is for selling, and I've been looking forward to this year for the past 3 years. And when I think about these regulations that are coming up, I'm thinking like, is it all going to happen before the time that I want to sell this year? Or is this real world asset regulation thing something for next cycle? And are there going to be more exciting things that are currently happening? That, because after all, we're all here to make money. We're not here to wait for certain things to happen, right? And I'm hesitant there, like thinking, should I put my money in the real world assets hoping for this, or should I put it somewhere else? What's your thoughts there, Crypto Savings Expert?
For me, right now, we're going to have to see how I have a long-term outlook with cryptocurrency, which is, permanently bullish. It's going to be here to the day we die. My medium term is dictated by my short term, and it changes very often. So for me, I'm looking to see how we react within this first kind of 2 to 3 weeks of January leading up to Trump's inauguration. For me, that will kind of dictate how the rest of the year looks. I know it sounds crazy to make your mind up within the first 3 weeks of January, but I think after the inauguration, that week will be very pivotal as well. My predictions are, this next 2-3 weeks, we're going to see good growth, and then perhaps we're going to see a big drop off in that first kind of week. If we break through too many levels, and we go back to 80,000 in latter stages of January, February, I may be a little bit more bearish. If we kind of maintain above 90,000 throughout January, I'm going to be more bullish, looking out for the rest of the year. A lot of people are still saying, sell in May, walk away, seasonal trends again. I do believe that will likely be the case. So if people are saying to sell in May, probably sell in April, not financial advice again. But will this give us time for a real alt season? Will this give us a real time for these real world assets to take off, to build with the regulatory framework that's put in place? Probably not. I think so. In that case, you've got to look, further down the line. So if it's not this year, it will be 3 years. And for me, my long-term outlook, it remains bullish. And whether it doesn't happen this cycle, real-world assets will be a key player, and they will conform to regulatory compliances. And we're going to see them all across crypto. They're going to be big. You're going to see projects like Mantra in the top 20, top 10, as long as this goes through. If not, it will be slightly longer.
One thing I'll add is that there are so many aspects to regulation. Like we can say, oh yeah, there's going to be regulation, but what exactly does that mean? Like for sure, it's going to be big in and of itself. When you say regulation, what is a security? Like something as simple as that. I think if we can get that down, it's going to drive actually a lot more innovation in the USA, which is huge for all of crypto. So there's that. And the reason why there's such big fans of stablecoins on Capitol Hill is because they see it as a big export of the US dollar. They're going to make it so that every single USDT has to be backed by a one US dollar. And by having this one-to-one thing, they're going to be able to export a lot more of the US dollar around the world. So they're all in on that. But again, when I speak to them about something like RWA or DePIN, they literally don't even know what that is. So it's still very much an education phase. I don't foresee that there's going to be RWA specific things passed. There's not going to be DePIN specific things passed. In the short term, like there's no chance really, in my opinion. But again, if you at least understand what a security is and like just general crypto regulations that you can piggyback off of, at least all these different sectors of cryptos can piggyback off of, it's going to be really good for innovation anyways. So, in all cases, I think it's going to be good for all of crypto. But for the RWA stuff, DePIN stuff, it's going to be probably a little further out.
I also think that RWAs is something that comes back every bear market. Every bear market, that's usually the talk of town, that people are talking about RWAs is the next big thing, and this cycle is going to be the year of the RWAs. I've never been here previous bear markets, like the past one was my first, but I have heard I listened to a lot of podcasts, and I've heard others say that actually the previous two bear markets as well, RWAs has always been the topic that people like to talk about, tokenizing things and this and that, but then it never comes to fruition and it never really brings the returns that people expect. So I'm kind of hesitant there. I do believe that stablecoins this cycle are probably going to play an important role. Just as last cycle where we saw Luna, we probably all wrote that Luna wave one way or another. I personally held some Luna. I also had some UST that got stuck there where I lost my money. But I like to see these stablecoin experiments, and I think this cycle is actually going to be the cycle of potentially that the stablecoins break through and that someone cracks the code that's not USDC or USDT. But yeah, let's see, right?
Let me ask about that really quickly. Just the USDT thing that's happening now. Do you guys know much about that? Everyone's kind of talking about how USDT is kind of one to stay away from now and use USDC or some of these other options.
Yeah, I followed it, not too deep, but I saw all the FUD on my timeline where everyone was saying USDT is gonna crash, all the altcoins are gonna crash because USDT is gonna become illegal in Europe. But I don't really maybe yes, it's illegal. I don't know. I don't know that the this and that details. But Europe just doesn't want USDT on European exchanges. That's how I understand it, because it's not fully one-to-one backed. I think that's the main reason. I'm still holding some USDT. Don't tell anyone. But yeah, I mean, it's a the USDT FUD comes every quarter, every 2 quarters. There's something happening with USDT. So I didn't really worry about it. It happened 3 days ago and nothing happened. So I mean, yeah, no. What do you think?
I think we see it often. One year it's USDC FUD, the other it's USDT. They're probably doing it against each other. There's Circle have been brought into question in times before. Where are the reserves? Are they one-to-one backed? Same with USDT. USDT, however, I believe they're one of the largest Bitcoin holders. They're very profitable. They generate a lot of revenue. And they're one of the largest Bitcoin holders, if I'm not corrected. So hopefully, if there's ever a lawsuit, hopefully they can maybe that will affect the price of Bitcoin, but hopefully they can use some of those funds to stay afloat.
I mean, yeah, that's exactly what their business model is, right? They buy treasury bills, and with that profit they make out of that, they buy Bitcoin, and that's how they became one of the biggest Bitcoin holders. But also, they made a lot of profit. They have a super small team, and they print billions of dollars per year. It's insane. it's just insane, that business model there, and how they got to product market fit in a way worldwide. Like if you go to Turkey, for example, everybody knows USDT, everybody uses USDT on Tron. And that's also like, that's cool about Tron itself. Like Tron doesn't really have many use cases, but it is very well adopted, and maybe even the best adopted all over the world, because so many countries are using USDT on Tron. Yeah, congrats to Justin Sun for getting that pulled off. Never expected that, but yeah. Great. Well, USDT, USDC. Nah. Anything to add there? A bit out of breath.
Yeah, I got one thing to add. I think, when are we going to get away from fiat-backed stablecoins? I don't want to be giving more power to the dollar. I don't want to be giving more power to the US government. When are we going to get away from fiat-backed stablecoins? I don't see it happening anytime soon. People have tried UST, even international stable currency. Good friends of mine, but even them, unfortunately, they've had to kind of slow down their production as much, just because it wasn't as popular, especially in a bull market. There's not many people that are investing in stable coins, especially stable coins that are trying to be pioneers in the space. Especially with the kind of bad taste of UST. People don't have the trust to put into other stablecoins which aren't fiat backed. I see gold backed stablecoins. They're one that I prefer, and if I hold something stable for a long time, perhaps I'll go for a gold-backed stablecoin there, but there's still, there's a few companies there, but not always the trust as well. But then you see more FUD from USDT, USDC. Seems like all stablecoins are have FUD right now.
I do still remember that moment when Silicon Valley Bank happened. I think that was like somewhere in 2023. I was in Bali at that time, and USDC decoupled for the whole weekend, and it was like at 80 cents or something. Like, a few weeks before that, it was like, everybody, should you hold USDT? USDT is not safe, USDT FUD, and then suddenly USDC drops. And I was like, what actually is safe to hold here, right? What is safe or what is not safe? There's like, yes, you can say, when are we getting off these standards, but also, what is the solution? And we're kind of lacking any solution there. Like, probably at that point, Bitcoin is the safest holding. And I hear like, and that's how the big Bitcoin maxis think and talk, right? They say like, it's not Bitcoin that's going up and down, it's the dollar that's going down. And if you look at it that way, that's a new way of thinking, but it is actually a great way of thinking. And that's maybe how we are not really thinking in this space, but maybe we should think in terms of Bitcoin, and in terms of, in the end, like, that's also my goal here. It's collecting more Bitcoin through altcoins. And the past year, I haven't really succeeded in that, because I've just held Bitcoin. I probably had more right now than I have right now, but we're all playing that game after all. We all believe in Bitcoin. We all believe that the fiat money system is not really working the way it should, and it's on a decline. I believe, at least, not just the US dollar. I feel like Europe is even in a worst case. Europe is very dependent on the dollar, and whatever is going to happen in the US, let's say Trump comes to office, and then you have this Ukraine-Russia thing happening, and Trump says, bye-bye, we're not supporting this anymore, then suddenly Europe is in problem, and I feel like there's just, inflation is around the corner, and yeah, it's just so scary to think about it. And then it's like, what's the solution there, right? Yeah, scary stuff if you think about fiat.
Yeah.
So maybe we should just be safe, and Bitcoin is the safest bet.
Yeah. Well, you look at, that's one of the things that we'll probably see over the next little bit as well with the US government, is one thing they've talked about a lot is the Bitcoin reserves. So we'll see if they actually move ahead with that. And I think we'll see that pretty early on, at least an indication. So let's wait and see there. And the Silicon Valley Bank thing is really interesting. This is when I talk to people about crypto, this is one of the things that I bring up, is like the fact that banks actually, don't control your money, which is the basis of the way that the money works in the US. They, it gets loaned out several times. So the actual amount that they keep there is, I think, less than 10%. There's some regulations that I believe it's less than 10%. So if you look at something like a USDT, the fact that it is going to be one-to-one backed, or all these stablecoins are supposedly going to be one-to-one backed, it's actually seems a lot more safe compared to the banks feel. Like, it's pretty crazy to say. There have obviously been some very big hacks and things like that, which will, and obviously everything that happened with FTX, where things weren't backed, where I think if the regulation is in place, it'll start really protecting people. So let's wait and see there. And I think hopefully if that is the case, then I wouldn't hesitate to jump into some of these stable coins myself. But I love your perspective there, the issues with money and the fact that Bitcoin, it seems like all roads lead to Bitcoin.
Yes.
Heard it here first. Yeah.
I agree. And that you bring up that strategic Bitcoin reserve, I would love to go into there because that's gonna be an interesting way. Like, yes, we've been talking about that for a few months now since that Bitcoin conference in Nashville, and people are like sort of calculating it in. There's poly markets thinking like, is it gonna happen or is it not happening? Like, we all know that the upcoming president is gonna be bullish on Bitcoin, kind of wants to have this implemented, also wants the economy to pump in a way because that's how he measures his success. But it's gonna be interesting to see how this strategic Bitcoin reserve will be implemented, if it's going to be implemented, because I think it's going to be stupid if they're going to announce we're going to do the Bitcoin strategic reserve. I think probably a more strategic way that they might do it is they just start accumulating in a way. They're going to keep shilling Bitcoin. They're going to stock positive about it without really announcing things. Because the last thing you want is announcing we're going to do the strategic Bitcoin reserve and having other countries and other people front run you and having to pay 50% more on the price, right? Like, it's still a bit of a race in one way or another. Like, maybe my prediction would be, and I don't know about regulations and how these things got to be approved and how that's going to be publicly done, but I feel like I don't think they will announce it from day one. I think they might like just slowly shill it, slowly talk about it, keep nurturing the people in their heads. Bitcoin is great, Bitcoin is good. Slowly buy it in the back end, and then 6 months later say we just bought 1% of the whole Bitcoin supply. And then boom, right? Then suddenly the market is like, oh shit, we didn't see that's coming. I think that's probably the most strategic way that they could do it. Otherwise, they're just gonna pay much more for the same amount of Bitcoins. What do you think? How
I
does that
agree with
look?
what I definitely agree with what you're saying, but let's be honest, the government's kind of big and kind of slow. I don't know if they would have that kind of foresight. Let's see though. I feel like they would just, announce it. I don't even know what the bills need to be passed around that, to be honest, but I think it'll be obvious that they're buying, but we'll see.
I wish I was the intern who's going to put that tweet. I'd put on the biggest long.
Yeah.
Whoever's working for the government there and is in charge of that tweet, he's got a lot of power. That's probably the most alpha anyone ever has. So yeah, it's that would be crazy. And I think you're right though, Rick. I think they're going to have to do it with caution, and that any way they do it, there's going to be some form of complaint. Whether it's people saying that the US government were buying secretly and then they kind of announced it once they got all of theirs and they're going to dump on people, or if they either way there's going to be complaints about how they have gone through the procedure. I can't imagine how I would go about it. We see El Salvador, real simple, small nation. Yeah, announce it. On Twitter. This is the largest or the powerhouse of the world. Going to tell us that they're
Mhm.
they're putting Bitcoin into their reserve. So it's a difficult decision.
I I've had this random idea when I was walking and someone brought up strategic Bitcoin reserve on a podcast I was listening to, and I was like, what if this probably never gonna happen and it's not gonna work, but like you see MicroStrategy buying so much stuff. Like MicroStrategy has so many Bitcoins. Is it even a possibility that the government makes MicroStrategy a government agency and then suddenly they own all the Bitcoins and they buy out Michael Saylor? Like, I don't know, maybe Michael Saylor is a government agent. That's pure speculation. Imagine that happens. Like, you heard it here first. I've never heard this theory somewhere else. Like, how to get to 1%, like how to get to 1 million Bitcoin. Maybe that's the fastest way because it's an American company. I don't know, right? That's probably not gonna be what happens. Maybe like a 0.5% chance, but never say never.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens. I think we're both speechless on that one. That's a pretty interesting theory. I think it also depends who the government is. So, supposedly the right is more like open to business and innovation and these different kind of investments, whereas the left feels like it's more willing to grab power from different locations. So let's see what happens, but it's hard to see that happening.
Yeah, it's hard to see that happening, but we do know that the next 4 years is going to be sort of pro crypto in a sense. Like, you have the crypto czar who is a Solana early investor
Hmm.
and all of that. Like, it's going to be interesting stuff that's going to be happening. We won't have those headwinds that we've been having for the past 4 years. So at least that's very exciting to think about. Like, I didn't know that these headwinds existed before getting into crypto. I didn't know all these shit things even existed, the Fed and all of that. Like, what's the FOMC? I never heard of FOMC until the FOMC suddenly became the biggest thing and the market mover, right? Like, every month we were waiting for the FOMC. Yeah, what's that? Like, if you told me about FOMC 4 months ago, no, 4 years ago, never heard of it. Like, and now suddenly everybody's an FOMC expert. It's funny how crypto educates us in a way. Also, it's funny how it's a great school. It's a great education platform on itself. And I think we can all agree on that. Like, 3 years in crypto is 15 years in another industry. The things you learn in terms of finance, in terms of management, in terms of community, in terms of marketing, in terms of investing, mainly investing even. You can be in crypto for 3 months, lose all your money. You learn so much in those 3 months. Other people have to be 10 years in the stock market to lose all their money. Or they maybe never, and they may never learn, right?
There's so much opportunity. It's, it's such a new industry. There's so much opportunity for people to come through. And like you say, we've all been a part of startups, and especially crypto startups. When they are very very brand new, you are spinning plates. You are covering a lot of different roles that perhaps you're not comfortable in, or you're not experienced with. Whereas in traditional industries, there's kind of more framework. It's more explored already. They know the routes. They know the channels. Crypto, we've got to think on our feet.
Yeah, and just to add to that, as a young person coming into crypto, or any young people out there, if you get an opportunity to work in crypto, I highly recommend it. You learn so much. One thing when you come into any startup, like a smaller company, you're going to get lots of opportunity, but even more so in crypto because they're actually willing to give you a voice as a young person. Whereas if you come into or a small startup with several senior people, they're always going to be able to yell over you and put your voice as the junior voice that doesn't really get listened to. But here in crypto, you have a voice as a young person. So I really recommend it to anyone coming into, coming out of school.
100%. And I want to give a shout out to the community manager I've been working with for the past 1.5 year, who told me yesterday that he actually he finished school this year while doing the whole community management thing for the past 3-4 years already. This guy, like, he grew so much in community management. Like, now I see him more as a manager of community managers, right? And this guy is 21 years old. And yesterday he told me that he built his own house with receipts from being a community manager. He built his own house thanks to crypto. He's from Bangladesh. He built his own house thanks to crypto and is now thinking to go to university to study management. So he literally, like, imagine that. Imagine where and how is that possible to get to a management function before you actually study management and to have your house built that you all earned yourself, right? Like, shout out Adam, great job, you're amazing. Like, wow, hats off. That's amazing. And that's just like, you achieve that by putting yourself out there, putting in the work. And if you put in the work and you show what you can, people are going to trust you, because there's not a lot of people in this space that actually do the work. There's a lot of grifters here who say that they know how to do the work, but then, like, actually end up just say yes, but never really take a task on. And if you're someone who knows how to take a task on, then you're going to make the difference and you're going to grow so fast. Like, in 10 months time, you can go from a nobody to a big guy in the space. And I think crypto is the only place where that's possible, actually.
Yeah, I'd like to add that to anyone listening that wants to get involved as well. Offer your services for free. Get involved with the communities. Offer your services for free at first, to the point where you're too valuable for them to lose you. And you see that with a lot of community managers. They get involved very naturally, and then before long, they're on a salary, they're earning a wage. Happy days.
How did you get started?
So how did I get started into crypto? So I got started into crypto. I first came about Bitcoin. Like probably a lot of people, I was inquisitive of the dark web, the Silk Road. Started actually buying tobacco from Belgium, funnily enough. And then so I got very familiar with Bitcoin. This is back in kind of 2014, 2015. Bitcoin was around $200-$300 at the time. But obviously I was spending it all straight away. So straight away I understood how to use Bitcoin, and it was only until an order had been cancelled and I hadn't logged on for a few weeks. I went back into my account and seen it had doubled the price, and I went, what? you can actually just invest and wait on this. And it was just a light bulb moment. And then I had a bit of success trading in 2017. 2018, I cashed out, I went traveling, I lost interest a little bit. And then 2019, 2020, really started upping it again. 2020, I fell back in love with it during COVID, like a lot of us did. And then, 2021 met, or maybe, 2021 met that Martini guy, had gone full time into crypto, and I knew that this was my future. I've always loved traveling. I like traveling the world. I'm very keen on freedom, and I realized from early that crypto can provide freedom. So I wanted to, fully focus. And I remember when I finally did quit my job, I wish I could have that hunger again, because I was just consuming crypto content. I'd fall asleep with crypto podcasts on. I'd wake up. I'd have YouTube on here. I'd be doing, even while I was at work, I'd be trading in the toilets. I'd have like a podcast in my AirPod. And just want to say, anyone listening, consume. If you're looking for a career in Web3 and you're wanting to really take this seriously and build a future, consume as much content. LP Roundtable, as much live streams, Twitter, etc. Just consume as much content. Surround yourself with the right network, and you're going to be successful, guys.
One keyword there that I wanna say is the right network is super important, because and I totally agree with everything you say. That's also how I grew into the space. I remember in 2021 when rolling in, all I did all day long, even on my breaks, was listening to Clubhouse. For example, Clubhouse was a big deal for me. A Clubhouse and podcast on the walks, in the evenings, in the mornings, even sometimes during my working hours, right? But the right groups is important. And sometimes I feel like on crypto Twitter, there is also a lot of bullshit. And I think that's one of the reasons that I might not have taken profit my first cycle, because you're listening to a lot of inputs. You're listening also to the wrong people, and you're listening to people who love to show off. And that's dangerous. People that show off, that you're going to compare yourself with, is super dangerous for your own profits, for your own mental health, because once you start comparing, you never have enough. And if you have the feeling of never enough, then you're going to forget taking profits, and you know where that's going to lead, right? And I think that's a very important realization for myself. But yeah, that's something that I'm probably still learning. You're always going to compare yourself, and you're always going to have that feeling of not having enough, but you do need your own targets, and you do need to know what number is going to make you happy. Because if you're going to focus on a number that someone else posted on Twitter, or that someone else said in the Twitter spaces, you're going to keep comparing yourself, and you're never going to reach that. And that's the danger also. So I do agree, have a few channels that are trustworthy, that are knowledgeable and know what they're saying. Don't blindly follow any calls. Always do your own research. Always trust yourself most. Even though you're new, probably your own judgment is better than someone else. Honestly, even my early days, I think my own judgment was better than many other things I followed. And that's probably how you're going to make it. And be happy with what you have. I think after all, that's not only in crypto, but that's just a life lesson. Be happy with what you have. Yeah, and that's what it's all about. I feel like crypto is a fast track to being happy and freedom, like you say, right? Being able to travel and go where you want. Do you have any lessons like that, Aaron? What were important channels, or how did you fast track your growth into this space?
Yeah, I'll give it a little bit of background. So 2017 to 2019, I was finishing my last couple of years of school. I started learning a bit about blockchain and started taking some blockchain coding classes way back then. I dove pretty deeply. I was starting to teach some lectures actually to people within our school community and just beyond the school community as well about Bitcoin and blockchain back then. But it was very much like the enterprise use cases. So some of the IoT tracking devices, which lend into what I'm doing today. But basically, right when I graduated school, I just found the first job that I could in product management. I literally told them, you don't have to pay me. I just want to do it for free because I love what this is all about. It's between business and tech. I thought I could do a really good job there, and then got promoted a couple times, got recruited a couple times until I built this AI product which determined what vehicle someone's most likely to drive next. And by determining what vehicle someone's going to drive, let's say you're driving a Honda Civic into a Honda dealership, we know to 70% degree certainty you're going to buy a Civic, a CRV, or an HRV for your next vehicle, and then we promote the shit out of that vehicle. We send you text, email, letters, all of that, and basically sold that software into over 200 car dealerships across Canada. Then I got recruited into IoTeX, where at that point, like, my crypto knowledge was zero. Like, even though I knew the tech side of blockchain, I knew this enterprise blockchain, the crypto space was like way past at that point. So I managed to jump in around 3 years ago into IoTeX as their head of product, really bringing like an outsider's perspective. And that's what they were bringing me in as, is like someone who has like hardcore product management skills, not much crypto experience. And then I basically just hustled on the job and learned as much as I could in that amount of time and got caught up to speed on the crypto side. But really, I think, so my lesson there is they're trying to hunt top talent at this point. Like, this crypto space, there's obviously, generally there's money there, and they're just trying to bring in the best talent that they can to bring things to another level. And a lot of times that actually requires a fresh perspective, because once you've been building in the space for a long time, you start getting set in your ways, like, oh, it's obvious how to use a wallet, but really it's not to most people out there. So we need to make sure that these things are user friendly. So that's where I come in. And I think it's the same thing on the marketing side, and basically every single function within crypto. I think it can take like a Web 2 or fresh approach combined with the current crypto people's approach in order to create something that works for everyone in all aspects.
Love that. And I think that also, like, that's a great showcase of that we gotta know what game we are playing. There's so many games you can play within crypto. You can be a trader, you can be a builder, you can be a marketer, you can be a head of product, you can be an educator, you can be a streamer or a content creator. There's so many games, and it's important to focus on whatever is your strength. Like, I've found myself trying to play too many games at the same time from time to time and not winning at any. And that's dangerous. That's a dangerous game, because you're in here and you think like, okay, let's trade, because trading looks easy and I learned all of it and I spend all this time looking at charts. But then you have a job and you see like you are actually not focused enough on your job, and you're also not focused enough on your trade. So you're actually playing two games at the same time, but you're losing both. And I think that's a lesson for me too. And sometimes it's hard to hold myself accountable on that. That's maybe a segue into.
No, I just like talking about playing different games. I also decided to write a book, and in one of so like with all the stuff that I have going on, so it's called Brain Rot to Mental Steel: Reclaiming Discipline in the Age of Distraction. So people are always like, sucked into their phones and all these different things. And one of the chapters in the book is called The Art of Single Tasking. So don't get distracted by all these things going on, is like just focus on one thing at a time. And that can happen on a day-to-day basis or a week-to-week basis, but like really dial yourself into something that you want to achieve, whatever that goal is. And it's, perfect time to do something like that because it's 2025. Set your goals, long-term goals, medium-term goals, short-term goals, like day-to-day goals, and make sure you get it done. I think try not to focus on too many things, just like you're saying, Rick.
Yeah, that's great. We'll link the book in the show notes as well. Maybe there's even a referral code that we can do, an LP Roundtable referral. But yeah, congratulations on that book launch. Tell us about it. How did you get to that idea? When did it start?
Like I said, I've been working on so many different things, and I just wanted to pass on some of the knowledge. And I got super into like Stoicism and learning about some of these Roman emperors and some of their teachings. So I wanted to apply, I started applying those to my day-to-day life. And then I thought, why not teach what my learnings were to other people? And yeah, that thing came together in around 4 months, and here we are. So just launched around 5 days ago.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Nice. What game have you mainly been playing, Spud?
Games in, what do you mean by that? Sorry.
Games, like, as in, know the game you're playing. There's so many games in the crypto space that you can play. Like, I heard you play meme coins with 50% of your portfolio. I heard you play the educator role for also some time of your time. Let's say you can divide a day in 24 hours, right? Like, how do you spend your time? What's the game?
Yeah, a lot of my time is spent touching in with my network community. My passion is altcoins. I love, especially those newly founded projects. Those, you're always looking for that one that has that potential, that $1 billion potential. I like working with the right people and really building, going back to DePIN as well, building the infrastructure that we're going to be using in years to come. And I think, a lot of the OGs in the space, especially, ones that are working now, and even ones that are going to come in the next few years, will be considered OGs in time to come. And I think the infrastructure and what we can create within Web3 and crypto is what's going to make me the proudest. Building real utility projects, or projects that I'm involved with that will last the test of time, will go on, will improve people's lives, and will make a big difference in crypto. That's what I'm really interested in. It's more of a long-term outlook for crypto for me.
And can you run us through how you find these projects?
Going to
What's the
events,
process?
I find, in the last 2 years, my first ever event was Zebu Live over in London. Met some great connections there. Actually, part of Zebu Live was the Swissborg event. That's where I met that Martini guy. And then I started going to Solana events. I went to my first hacker house around 2 years ago in Taiwan, maybe a year and a half, something like that. And it was, I tell you what, wasn't many people there. I think Solana was about $15. There was a lot of developers there, but actual companies and founders, not many. That's where I met the founder of Bonk. Shout out to Nom and Mac D and the team there. And I really got involved with the Solana community, started going to a lot more hacker houses, and I saw so many great developers, up and coming developers, creating these projects. What they've got the technical side, they've got the development skills, they need the people with the community. That's where I come in and help do the marketing. And it's lovely to see a project with actual good utility and then the community come in and go with it and grow. That's one of the nicest things.
These online, the real life events, honestly, is an unlock for me, and I wish I did this earlier. Like I've been working in crypto ever since 2021 from behind my computer, and then like 2022, I sort of took a gap year traveling as well. Just like you said, you lose interest, you see your portfolio going down, and you're like, okay, fuck this, I'm out of this. I'm taking a plane. I'm gonna live somewhere in the jungle for a few months. But like, I wish I stayed in the space more. I surrounded myself with some other entrepreneurial people. I dove into like e-commerce and AI, right? Like whatever else is hot there, experimenting, trying to build a crypto startup as well. But like never really surrounding myself with ecosystems or people. And I kind of wish I did, because how I experienced the past few months, it's just feels like an unlock. And that's also what you mentioned here, like these experiences that you've been having for the past 2-3 years. It's an unlock for so many things, right? You connect with people, but it also brings business opportunities, network, fun, freedom, right? And that's what it's all about.
Well, I wouldn't be here around the Roundtable if it wasn't for going to events. We all met, perhaps you guys have met before, but we met at Island Owl in Koh Samui, thanks to Solana and the Island Owl team there. Isn't it such an unlock, like you mentioned? And I would recommend anyone listening in, even if you're in a part of the world where perhaps there isn't many events going on, get a community, find people, create one. I would say going to events should be on everyone's agenda for 2025 if you want to take crypto seriously.
One thing, if I reflect on my crypto journey, is that I feel like I was kind of late to transition from an EVM guy to a Solana guy. Like quite late, as in I've been using Solana since early 2021, but never really like dove too much deeper, and also never really invested significantly in it. But like now, when actually surrounding with the people, like you say, I realize like, oh damn, this is exciting. This is really cool. They're taking a totally different approach, and it's exciting. And it also makes me think like, comparing Ethereum with Solana, it's coming very close in a sense. Like, what's actually the difference, and why is there still such a big value gap compared in market caps, for example, right? And maybe that's the last point that we could touch on, like, because I came up with this little thesis a few nights ago, where that gap between Ethereum and Solana feels quite big still. When I checked the numbers back then, I think Solana was at 100 billion and Ethereum at 400 billion. It feels like Solana might be 300 billion undervalued in a sense, if you think about it. Like, I would love to hear your opinions there. Yet, do you think that Solana might come close to flipping Ethereum this cycle? I'm not saying flipping it, like I'm not expecting it to get a higher market cap, but I do feel like there's definitely a chance that it catches up quite a lot.
I think one thing to look at is the protocol revenue. I think this is one thing we touched on last time, that the revenue is surpassing the revenue of Ethereum, which is super interesting. Obviously, transactions are way higher, and it's obvious the reasons, like obviously lower gas fees. But I think the lower gas fees have made a huge difference in driving things like meme coin trading, and it makes it way more ripe to do meme coin trading. I think people at one point, I think it was around a year ago when Pepe became big, they would bite the bullet. I would bite the bullet like $100 plus on gas fees in some occasions, and I still made like huge amounts of money on Pepe. That was like my number one trade ever. But with that being said, it makes it a lot easier to jump in to a lot of different innovations and different projects, and even on the utility side, DePIN and all that, when those low gas fees are there. So I think that's obvious. But I think now that there's community that's been built up on the Solana side, there are a lot of different things and factors that go into making Solana ripe for getting an even bigger market cap, definitely.
For me, the disparity between the prices was made evident when I went to an Ethereum hacker house and a Solana hacker house. The Ethereum hacker house felt very corporate. The kind of developers there, didn't, for me, I'm not sure on the exact numbers, but didn't seem as many developers that I see at the hacker house taking part. And I felt like the Ethereum hacker house, they had afforded the event by going to sponsors. Don't get me wrong, I know Solana do that as well, but this was very much based on the sponsors. The Solana hacker houses are based on the developers, and in my opinion, especially during the bear market, Solana Foundation had to be paying $1 million a time at least for these events to go ahead, and they were generating a loss. That event wasn't really generating the spark but what it was doing was building the foundations, bringing developers in and allowing them to build what we're all using today. So for me, there is a disparity in price. Will it flip Ethereum? No, because EVM, there's a lot more functionality than SPL tokens. There's a lot more you can do with smart contracts, etc. There's always going to be a place for Ethereum and there's always going to be a place for Solana. But is there a disparity in dominance? Yes, I believe so. And I think we hopefully will see that throughout this year as well.
Couldn't agree more with what you just said. I agree. Like, yeah, EVM, I feel like it's sort of cannibalizing itself with the modular stuff. Like, yes, you had Celestia, which came up, and that was that airdrop season, etc., etc. But like, after all, what's the value that it brings actually to the base chain, right? Base chain. I don't mean the chain base. I don't mean the L2. I mean Ethereum itself. But like, base is just the same, right? It's cannibalizing the L1, and the profits just go to Coinbase. So it's actually giving value to the Coinbase stock and not really to Ethereum itself. And if you now see on X, Base people recruiting, like Jesse posting, Bolek from Base posting on Twitter, how can we pull over Solana people to Base? Like, guys, let's make the pie bigger instead of trying to cannibalize each other, right? Like, we're all in this industry. Let's grow together. Let's build together. I mean, like, it's, yeah, I don't really understand that statement. Why they even would post something like that? But yeah, maybe, like I said, this was going to be the last question, but maybe I want to ask one more question, because it's important for listeners to learn from mistakes that other people make. What's the one lesson that you learned in 2024 that you are not going to make again in 2025? We'll start with Spud. You're
I
muted.
was muted there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was going to say, difficult one to decide. There's been a few mistakes throughout the year. I'll hold my hands up. Definitely made some losses. I think for me, my mistake that I do not want to repeat this year is sticking with bags that have lost the momentum. I feel like right now crypto is very momentum based, and if we see that momentum decline, whether that be from the team themselves, even in price, a key indication to look at is, and it's easy as well, social media. If the team stop posting as much and you see momentum start to drop, sometimes it can be tactical, but if you got that gut feeling, price is going down, sentiment is going down, get out. Because I think there's been times where we marry our bags, we have high sentiment towards that, and we just slowly watch it come down and come down and come down. And the opportunity cost, you're better off when you have that first gut feeling, get out, move on to new pastures, or perhaps put it into stables. In a week time, if it was the wrong decision and you still like the project, re-enter. But I feel like for me, and it's something I've been battling with for years. I think you even touched upon it, Rick, as well, about taking profit. Even if you're in a loss in that investment, if you feel that momentum cease, move on.
Couldn't agree more. 100%. I think that's also one of mine. Like, staying too long in bags you lost conviction in, but you think like, I'm gonna keep holding this until it gets closer to my entry point, but you're probably better off selling it and buying something you do have more conviction in, because if things run, probably the one you have conviction in will run harder than the one you're trying to hold until that point you want to get out again.
Exactly. I have so many people in the community and they're still holding on to, bags from 2021. I take them and I go, guys, yeah, I know this was a, multi-$100 million market cap, but right now it's 20 million. If you look on their Twitter, their last tweet was a week ago. Guys, let go, move on.
Yes, exactly. Aaron, do you have one of those learnings as well to share?
Yeah, I'll talk about one, start with like my investing, and then two, go into like head of product IoTeX, some of the things that I've learned. But for sure, taking profits, that's like the number one thing. I don't know why, but it's kind of cool to say, oh, I diamonds hands this stuff, and I actually I just never sell. I just never sold really in 2024 at all. And I think that's definitely a lesson, is just like take those profits and at least take the initials out. I think that's a big thing that I need to start doing for sure. And then on the IoTeX side and just generally working with DePIN projects is look at the team, focus on the team. If the team is good, I think they're always going to figure out a way to make it work. And I think, the Qualu team is so amazing. So I'm so excited about working with you guys at Qualu. I think the potential is so big. And there are some projects that we've done work with that the team isn't really there. Not necessarily doing rug pulls and stuff like that, but I just don't think that the team is there to be able to do anything fantastic in the shorter or medium or long term. So I think just invest in invest as an IoTeX ecosystem and invest as being interested in certain projects that have a great team. I think that's number one. And I think that's a good lesson for anyone who's investing as well. Like, just invest in the team.
Yeah, 100%. I think, and that's also what a lot of VCs have as their mandate, right? We invest in founders, like invest in a good founder, because you can kind of trust that he's going to build a great team and that's going to bring great success. I also want to build on top of both of these points that I think my biggest learning of last cycle, of last year, is don't borrow conviction, make your own conviction. You see a lot that people borrow conviction from the timeline or from someone mentioning something, but I've never made money when borrowing conviction. If I think about the bags that I'm still holding that are in the red, they're all from borrowed conviction. And I'm still holding those for no reason, actually. I heard it on YouTube, or I heard someone chill it because someone had conviction, and you're just buying someone else's bags. Like, make your own conviction, buy whatever you want, and that's an easy hold. But if you borrow conviction, it's gonna be a pain in the ass. It's gonna haunt you for the rest of the cycle, probably, maybe even for the rest of your life. That's gonna be somewhere in the back of your head. Like, make up your own mind, do your own research, and yeah, buy what you're not convicted, buy what you have conviction in, and don't buy too much. Don't spread yourself too thin either. I think that's a lesson and a mistake that a lot of people keep making, including me. Every time I start over again, I say max eight different tokens, but every time I end up having 20 plus. So maybe it's time to clean up the portfolio again as well. Yeah, that's it, I think, for now, unless someone else has something else to add. But I think this was a great episode, guys. I want to thank you very much for your time, for your knowledge again, and yeah, I hope everyone learned a lot from these lessons. I think it was a jam-packed episode for sure. A lot of learning shared, a lot of value, and if you can implement all these tips and tricks that we shared here, you don't have to make these mistakes yourself. So you can save yourself 3 years of pain. You can hopefully take some profits whenever you feel happy with your profits. Wish you all a great year. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. See you on the next one. Bye,
Thank
guys.
you. Bye, guys.
Let's go. Follow, like, and subscribe to LP Roundtable, people. Let's go.
And for following CryptoSavingsExpert, I'll add the links in the show notes, as well as Aaron and IoTeX. You can go and follow on X there.